Hey guys, today I'm going to be making a quick and easy wedding card. I am notorious for putting off making wedding cards to the last humanly possible moment. So now that I'm out of time, it's time for me to make a wedding card. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And I'm going to draw a rectangle on my cutting mat. And I'm going to change the measurement of this front panel, because this is going to be the focal part of my card, to 3 3/4 by 5. So I have the rectangle drawn, so I'm going to go up to the sizing window, or the scale window, and change the size to 3 3/4 by 5. And I uncheck this lock aspect ratio because I want it to be the size I tell it and not try to scale in proportion. Okay, so now that I have this sized, I'm going to go ahead and open up my library and get a heart. And normally I go straight for this 11 hearts pattern, but today I'm actually going to be using this set. And I'm going to ungroup it, and I'm only going to keep this one here. The rest of these I can go ahead and delete. So I'm going to draw a box around everything and hit delete. And I only want the outside heart. I don't want this inside part. So I'm going to select it and then right click and go to release compound path and click it again and then hit ungroup. And from experience, I just happen to know you have to do that twice. Normally I would just go ungroup, but I knew that it was ungroup and release compound path. Like I said, experience with this shape. So now that I have these two images separated, I'm going to click over here on my mat and then grab this middle one and select it and hit delete because I don't want it. And then I'm going to drag this heart over here. And I'm going to use the modify window to kind of tweak this, because I'm going to stamp my sentiment here, but I want the heart to cut off. I want it to kind of be hanging off the edge there. Well, not hanging off the edge. I want it to end at the end of the paper. And you could do this with metal dies if you have them, but I actually don't have any heart-shaped metal dies, so I have to use my Silhouette if I want to make this idea kind of come to life. So I like how that looks, so I'm going to go ahead and draw a box around both of them, and right-click and hit copy, and then right-click again and hit paste, because I'm going to be making two different pieces to make one thing. So now that I have these two items duplicated, I'm going to go up to this window at the top right hand corner that says modify. And I'm going to draw a box around this first one. And I'm going to click the subtract option so that I just have this open heart here. And then I'm going to draw a box around this second one. And I'm going to hit crop so that I get the inside piece. So when I assemble my card, I'm going to cut this out of one color cardstock and this out of a different one, so they sit on top of each other like that. So I'm going to go ahead and send this to the Silhouette to cut out and assemble my card. Here are my two die cut pieces, and I'm going to be using an additional pattern paper from the My Mind's Eye On Trend 6x6 paper pad from Jen Allison. This is actually kind of geared towards weddings. It has some wedding type sayings on the smaller cards, and it also has a lot of foil accents. It's a really pretty 6x6 paper pad. And with those die cut pieces, I'm going to use some Distress ink in Wild Honey and Tumbled Glass to go around the edges, so the card stock stands out just a little bit. And really, I'm just going around the edges to cover the white core. Next, I'm going to take a panel that I've cut down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 and adhere it to the front of the card. And this is just going to be the background piece that everything sits on top of. You'll actually only be able to see about 1/4 of an inch of that pattern paper by the time I put everything together. Now for my sentiment, I'm using two stamps from the same stamp set. It's called Petite Pears by Stampin' Up! And I'm going to do some heat embossing where I stamp the first part of it in heat emboss and then stamp the second part in heat emboss. I really wish that I could do it all at once, so my heat embossing didn't dull a little bit, but there was no way for me to do it with this particular stamp set without smearing the ink. After I finish heat embossing my sentiment, I'm ready to tie my ribbon onto the front of my card. Now I'm using some scraps of ribbon for this particular card, and because I'm using scraps, I'm going to tape down a scrap on the front to be the long part that wraps around the card, and then I'm going to use some Scotch tape just to hold it down. And I also used a bunch of dimensional adhesive so that this front panel is secure on the front as I tie my bow. Now, I refer to this often as the cheater method of tying a bow because I actually find it easier to tie bows when the back is secured or the back is heavier. And I know you guys have asked in some other videos if I have any secrets for tying a bow, and I really don't. One is, if you're not good, use the cheater method because you can actually slide that knot back and forth. And I really just spend a lot of time finagling it because I find it easier just to fix it than to keep retying it. So after the bow is tied, I'm going to go ahead and attach my heart, also using dimensional adhesive, and cut my ribbon tails. Now finally, as a finishing touch, I'm going to take some sequins that I had in my stash that are coordinated, and I'll link below to some different websites that sell sequins in bulk, but I'm just randomly attaching them to the front of the card using my quick stick and some glossy accents. Now I give those sequins a second to dry, and finally here's a look at the final product. As always guys, thanks for watching.